He was just a young soldier, sent far from home, to a small outpost deep in the jungle. His orders were simple: hold the position and wait. Every morning, he checked his rifle, packed his bag, and scanned the tree line. He didn't know it yet, but this routine would define years of his life. Radio contact was rare out here. Messages came slowly, sometimes weeks late. He trusted that when it mattered most, someone would reach him in time. "Hold your position until officially relieved," his commanding officer had said. Those words settled into his mind like a promise he intended to keep. Weeks turned into months. Supplies grew thin, but he rationed carefully. He told himself this was temporary, just a matter of holding on a little longer. Sometimes he heard distant sounds, engines, voices carried on the wind. He'd freeze, listen closely, then return his post. Nothing changed. He kept waiting. He built small routines to survive, gathering food, mending his gear, marking days on a worn piece of bark. Each mark meant he was still holding on. Far away, in cities he couldn't imagine, treaties were being signed. Leaders shook hands. Crowds celebrated. None of it reached the outpost in the jungle. The war had already ended. Official announcements went out on every radio channel available. But out here, the signal never arrived. Silence was all he knew. Months later, a leaflet drifted through the trees, torn and faded. He picked it up, squinting at smudged words he couldn't quite make sense of. "Could be a trick," he murmured to himself. Deception was common in war. He folded the paper carefully and tucked it away, unconvinced by paper alone. He returned to his post, rifle in hand, eyes scanning the horizon. Trust was hard to give when trust could get a person killed out here. Seasons changed around him. Rain gave way to dry heat, then rain again. His uniform grew thin, his boots worn, but his resolve remained unshaken and firm. Sometimes he dreamed of home, a warm kitchen, familiar voices, a life waiting somewhere beyond the trees. Then he woke, and duty called him back. More paper drifted in over time. Some he found, some he ignored. Each one claimed the same thing: the fighting was over. He wasn't ready to believe it. An order is an order, he reminded himself, tightening the strap on his pack. Only a fellow soldier, face to face, could release him from this post. He grew thinner, older, more weathered by the years. Yet each morning, he still rose, checked his surroundings, and resumed the same disciplined watch. Occasionally, distant search parties passed nearby. He'd catch fragments of movement, hide instinctively, and disappear deeper into the brush. Trust felt like a luxury he couldn't afford. He began speaking to himself just to hear a voice. "Hold the position," he whispered, until officially relieved. The words had become his only anchor. Years slipped by unnoticed. The jungle around him changed slowly. New growth, fallen trees, quiet decay. He remained the one constant in an ever-shifting world. One evening, he found an old photograph tucked in his pocket, edges worn smooth from years of handling. A reminder of who he used to be. A quiet thought crept in. What if it really was over? What if he was the only one still fighting a war that no longer existed? He shook his head, pushing the doubt away. Doubt was dangerous. Doubt could get a soldier killed. He tightened his grip and returned his watch. Then, one day, a lone figure approached, not with weapons raised, but with hands open, walking slowly, calmly, toward the edge of the clearing. The stranger spoke gently, explaining what he already suspected deep down. The war had ended years ago. There was nothing left to defend. He listened carefully, studying the stranger's face for any sign of deception. But something in the calm, patient tone felt different this time, believable. Slowly, he lowered his rifle. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from the sheer weight of years finally being allowed to rest. He sat down for the first time in what felt like forever, letting the full realization settle over him. The war truly was over. He was finally free. Walking out of the jungle, he saw the world had moved on without him. New roads, new faces, a life continuing while he'd stood still. He thought of all those years spent holding a position that no longer mattered to anyone but him. Loyalty had cost him more than he realized. Yet in that loyalty, there was also something remarkable. unwavering discipline, and a promise kept, even when the world forgot to send the message. His story became a quiet reminder that dedication can be admirable, but sometimes the bravest thing a person can do is finally let go.